Hey, everybody. This episode of Mark Bell's Power Project podcast is brought to you by Element Electrolytes.
What's up, guys? So, you know how here, all of us love using these electrolytes, pre-workout, intra-workout, post-workout. Love? Love. Did I say love or love?
Love.
Anyway, love. Anyway,
L-O-F-E.
Love?
Love.
Love?
Love.
Okay. Well, I love it. I'm going to start using that word now anyway. But what I was going to say was, as far as performance, I used to think, because I used to do a lot, I used to play soccer, I did a lot of bodybuilding. I used to think that I had to eat a lot of carbohydrates pre-workout to be able to perform, 300, 400. And if I didn't have my carbs, I wouldn't be able to perform. But when I started, doing keto, doing carnivore fasting, I noticed that one of the big key missing factors was adequate hydration, and not just drinking a lot of water, but having adequate electrolytes. That's where Element comes in. If you actually use these electrolytes, you're going to notice a boost in performance, a boost in hydration. You're not going to be cramping. You're going to be feeling great during your workouts. They're just overall awesome.
Overall awesome. And what's awesome about Element Electrolytes is they make things really, really easy for you. So you can do what we do, which is get the value bundle. That's essentially getting 3 boxes and they'll send you a 4th one for free. So you can try multiple flavors. Highly recommend orange salt, citrus salt. Actually, they don't make a bad one. Even their non-flavored one is delicious because it's amazing, guys. But if you're not ready to full-on commit to the value bundle, you can go ahead and take advantage of the Element Recharge Pack. What's that? That's an 8 sample pack that they send you absolutely free. All you have to do is cover shipping. You can do so right now. You can go grab yours right now by heading over to drinklmnt.com/powerproject. Again, it's absolutely free for the recharge pack, or like I said, we like using the value bundle because that's literally the best value. Head there right now.
What up, Power Project crew? This is Josh Settlage, aka Settlegate, here to introduce you to our next guest, Colleen Fotsch. Colleen Fotsch is a CrossFit Games athlete who competed as an individual in 2019 and was a part of Team NorCal CrossFit Redwood City, the same team that took 4th at the 2017 CrossFit Games. Colleen started taking CrossFit classes and immediately fell in love with it. She began taking classes 6 times per week and showed early aspirations of competing. Colleen was a competitive swimmer in college and loved the weight training aspect of training, and she was originally insecure of having an athletic build. In college, she knew nothing about nutrition, but was able to learn more about health, fitness, and nutrition after starting her CrossFit career. Colleen credits CrossFit most for helping her develop self-confidence and appreciate for what her body is capable of without having to be ashamed of how it may look. Colleen is also now part of the USA National Bobsled Team, but that is a different story. Please enjoy this conversation with Colleen Fotsch.
Wait, what did you just say?
I said, "Delivery." You ever see that fat kid, the meme? And he's like on a little toy 3-wheeler thing?
No.
It's like a fat Asian baby. That's really
Now I really need to see. I've probably seen it, but I can't remember it.
It's pretty awesome. I think it's awesome.
That Asian kid.
I know
I
people
don't remember it, but
yeah.
we just got canceled again.
I know.
No,
I know.
That's okay.
It's a meme. Can't get canceled for a meme.
Right?
Actually.
What if Mark made it, though?
No.
It's a really fat baby. It's cute.
Okay.
Or kid, maybe. I don't know.
If it's cute, then I think you can get away with anything.
Oh, wait up. This kid?
Yeah.
Oh.
That kid looks like a little power lifter.
What did you Google?
Fat Asian baby meme.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's using a lot of memes.
Yeah, he is. He's used in a few. I remember him. Dang, he's big, man.
oh, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, I wonder.
Now he's 16. He's all jacked.
Hey, maybe.
That'd be sick.
Maybe. I hope he is.
Speaking of getting jacked, have you guys seen Shaq?
Yeah, I saw I saw a screenshot on More Plates, More Dates.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I saw too.
Yeah. I didn't see the video though. So Shaq's getting jacked.
Dude. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, he's I think people forget he was in amazing shape when he was young.
In really good shape.
Coming out of LSU, he's very lean. But yeah, I mean it's just talk about the higher end of genetics, man.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, he's probably on the juice or whatever. But I mean, it's just hard to say anything about that. That guy's he's different than everybody, right?
Absolutely. There's nobody like Shaq. There is no one like Shaq.
It's a Shaq attack.
It's insane.
He can fucking break dance and shit. You ever seen break dancing? Oh, there he is.
I've never seen him break dance.
All right. This is an angle for us to get him on the show. Now we got to figure out how to get him on the show.
Huh.
Fucking Matt Vincent went to LSU. He should be able to get Shaq for us, right?
Yeah, easily.
Somebody's got to be able to.
They're both one of the greatest in their sport too. So
He
there
looks
must be a
awesome,
club.
man.
He does.
That's dope.
Look at his traps.
Doesn't matter how good you look or how rich you are. Bathroom selfie's a bathroom selfie. It still looks like a bathroom selfie.
Yeah, we got to get some better lighting in the ST bathroom.
And that is 7 feet.
Shit, man.
Yo,
I wonder what he weighs right there.
probably a fucking 300.
I've seen his shoe before. It's like a size 22.
Yeah.
A size 22 shoe doesn't make any sense.
I remember that back in the day, like on like MTV or whatever. He'd be like, if my shoe's bigger than your rims, get out of here. Type, like it's like back when rims. Well, I don't know if rims still popular these days. It's been a while, but yeah, that's fucking crazy. A size 22.
Is he 50 something at this point? He's
got to be.
It's got to be, right?
He's got to be
Give or
52, 50 something, 53.
Yeah.
Let's see what our
He
research.
didn't retire
analyst
that
says.
long ago, but was it 10 years ago? Maybe a decade out of the game.
Yeah, like 2000.
Retired at 40s. He's probably 50. Yeah,
Mhm.
makes sense.
Age
How old is he?
49.
49. Okay.
He's done it all, man. He's rapper. He's in Shazam.
Hey, yeah,
Shazam.
he did well in Shazam. He did well in Shazam. I liked that movie as a kid.
He's got to make a comeback with the raps, I think.
Dude,
He made shoes.
He made shoes.
Remember those?
made shoes.
I remember like when I was a kid watching him and he was like buying stuff for kids for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are less fortunate and he's like buying them PlayStations and shit. I'm like, this is the coolest guy that I've ever seen. And then he's like, people want to do all kinds of stuff with their fame and their money. He's like, I like to do this. And he just started breakdancing out of nowhere. I was like,
I need to see this.
cool.
I'm like,
I didn't know he could break dance.
I'm like,
Oh,
this guy is amazing.
he attributed.
He's hilarious too.
Yeah, some of his like footwork on the court. He attributed that to being able to dance and like just being able to move, like
Dude,
move like not like a 7 foot whatever he weighed.
How funny is him and Barkley on that like NBA show? You guys ever see
they're
that?
fantastic. Dude, I used to love watching that.
Shaq said to Barkley one day, he's like, yo, he goes, you can't do this. And Shaq, for no reason, gets up and like puts his arms out like he's an airplane and starts going around the studio like he's an airplane. And then he comes back and sits back down like a little kid. And Barkley's like, you're dumb, man. He's like, you're so stupid. He's like, that wasn't funny. He's like, that wasn't cool.
Yeah.
He's like, it's just dumb.
They really be roasting each other. I love that.
Nonstop.
I love that. Oh my God.
Crushing each other.
Dude, I used to love watching that NBA on TNT. Back in the day, they had it every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They had a game on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Best thing ever in high school.
Sorry. Y'all know who Michael Rapport is?
Of course.
Y'all, you see the KD thing that happened?
Zebra Head.
Oh, is that like his nickname or something?
No, you got to
It's a
watch that movie.
Bruh. Well, okay. So
What happened?
Rapport calls himself the king of trash talk. And him and KD were going back and forth into the DMs. And KD like got pissed. He's like, all right, well, meet me over on this. You come guzzling, blah, blah, blah. Like he went in, and Rapport
Like he made it real.
He made it real, right? And Rapport like sent back these DMs. Oh, I can't believe you're talking to me like you should be helping the kids in New York or some shit, right? Because he knew that he was going to release these DMs, and Katie just kept going in, and then he put all those DMs out, and Katie was fined $50K. But Rapport is like the king of trash talk. It's like, that's kind of sad that you're now going to take this NBA player's like mean DMs and you're going to put it out there. Like, what?
That's weird.
Yeah, rap
If
goes
Katie-
hard in the paint.
If he was DMing me, I'd be like, ooh, this is dope. I'm going to keep this. Katie's trash talking me.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Dude. Yeah. Oh, man. I want to watch that movie now.
Zebra Head?
One of the greatest soundtracks ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Zebrahead? No.
Yeah. It's an
I have no idea
old
what it
movie.
is.
It has a
No.
lot to do with like interracial stuff, but it's got rap in it.
Pause. Interracial?
Yeah.
No.
Zebrahead.
Oh.
So it's black and white people.
Oh, okay.
But
Sorry,
he's,
I thought
you know,
I
he's
thought you were
in-
talking about something else.
No,
category.
not that. Not that in deep.
And you guys have peanut butter cup eggs?
I did not. I didn't have any.
I saw some. I didn't eat any. And I'm disappointed in myself.
Where are these?
Just around Easter
Just
time,
in
you know?
general.
Oh,
I got a lot of
man.
here.
I still have a lot of kids in my family, so
I thought they were here in the office.
there's a lot of candy
I
everywhere.
do have protein bars if you guys want to try some.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys are down, it's up to you.
Yes.
Right now?
Right now.
All right. Well, Let's see what happens.
Yeah, what are you doing protein?
I'll
bars?
eat. I'll eat.
you'll eat them.
So you made these.
No, did not.
Yeah.
Oh.
Who made them? Somebody made them in the bathtub?
I brought each of you 2.
This better be worth it.
I don't want to poop my pants.
You won't.
My stomach's growling, so I need something, obviously. My stomach.
The name of this bar, bro. Come on.
Dude, it's so good.
The Anna bar. Really? What bro made this? Oh,
Peanut
God.
butter and jelly. Cookies and cream?
So I know. So there's one that's, I mean, they're both delicious, but there's one that's significantly better. So, you know, I'll let you guys taste test them, but
I need to look up this.
I think that peanut butter
Instagram.
and jelly is hard to get the flavor of, so I'm going to try cookies and cream first.
So these just released our boy Remington James Final Boss Performance. It's, dude, wait till you try that cookies and cream. That's just,
You said
go
this is
for
from
it.
Remington James?
Yeah, check it out though.
How is it?
Verdict.
This kind of looks like it looks like the Outright bar.
It's really,
Similar.
really good. Yep. It almost has like a peanut butter flavor to it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. This is really good.
20 grams of protein, huh?
Hell of protein, no artificial sweeteners. I was blown away. I was like, dude, I gotta get the guy some of these.
It's really
So
good.
yeah,
Damn, bro.
I know, right? He did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
I like the name.
Yeah, the name. Oh my god, the Anabar.
Mm-hmm.
I actually texted him. I was like, dude, I'm pissed off. I didn't think of that for some reason. And he's just like, yeah, it worked. It worked really well, and I ran with it. Like, that's amazing.
I don't think Colleen Fotsch eats anything like this, you know?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not.
Oh my gosh,
Dude, what you guys know? You guys know anything about bobsledding?
nothing.
Jamaican.
Mm-hmm.
Cool Runnings was a fantastic
Mhm.
movie.
Jamaican bobsled team.
So it it's so good, but they do that thing
This is
like
really
it makes
good.
your mouth water, you know.
Yeah, man, this is really good. It's great that I have coffee right here too. It's just
Oh my god,
I just want to just fucking gig on air right now, man. This is actually good shit, man. Remington, congratulations, brother.
crushed it.
You need to send me 100 of these. And if you don't, I'm gonna talk shit on your bar. No, I'm joking, bro.
Yeah,
These
no.
are really good. These are awesome.
Couldn't keep them in stock. They're great.
255 calories.
That's the big thing right there. So no artificial sweeteners, 21 grams protein, but still under 300 calories.
270 in this other one.
hmm
How many grams of fat we dealing with?
It's a little bit higher, but it's still, I mean, with that
Yeah.
amount of calories, it ain't that high. So
Right.
we're doing just
10 or 12 probably.
Mm-hmm.
The peanut butter and jelly is like peanut butter and jelly, man.
Yeah.
I was like,
I know it is, right?
Did you eat both?
I took a bite of both, yeah. Mhm.
Oh, wow.
I didn't-
You self-controlled.
I didn't smoke through them yet.
Not me.
You're going to go right
both.
through them?
I'm sorry. I know we have to we have a job right now.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna eat both.
so I want to
This
see the
job does not
reaction.
require much. I mean, we've been high on the show before.
We had
We're eating
mushrooms.
fucking protein bars.
Wait till you try this cookies and cream, though.
All right,
Hold
let
on.
me cleanse the palate.
I'm going to back up.
Yeah.
Remember last time?
I'm still,
did I do
I'm
last
still
time?
wiping stuff.
Did I
off
hit
the
you?
table.
I need Can I borrow your glasses?
I need them.
What did
for
I do?
protection.
What did I do to you?
Blasted everywhere.
Yep.
Clean the palate.
Mm-hmm. What did I do to you last time?
Nigerian super sperm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I busted. My bad.
Yeah.
All right.
Right through your pants.
Uh-huh.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm. Mm. This is good. This is really cool. Fuck.
That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So
What's better, food or sex?
Depends on how hungry you are.
in either direction.
Depends on in either direction. Yeah, it really depends, man.
Oh, man.
If I haven't eaten for 2 days, food.
Yeah. Versus. Anyways, all right, we got to get rolling. But yeah, final boss performance. That shit's amazing. Way to go, Ank and Remington on
Wow,
that.
guys.
Yeah.
This is
It's really good.
it's really good.
Crumb just went flying everywhere.
It's crumbly. I like the crumbliness.
They're soft.
They're nice and just oh yeah. Good job.
They're not dry.
They're
No,
not dry.
no.
It's the one. Ooh.
Like a lot of times protein bars like really
Mhm.
kind of dry. I also like that it doesn't have a coating on it
Mm-hmm. So the white chocolate one does, but that one does not.
because the coating like always like melts and gets weird.
Mhm.
You know, It was good.
No, yeah, it's really hard not to eat the entire fucking box as soon as it came in. But
Oh God, yeah. I can imagine.
I tried to hold back so that way I can give you guys some.
These are one of those things where you do need some self-control.
Yes, quite a bit.
You need to be an adult.
But they're fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Colleen's ready to go.
What?
I know.
Wow.
No way.
Whey protein.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying it. She's not ready. There's no way. Oh, there she is.
Hello.
Hey,
What's going on, Colleen Fotsch?
where's the thingy?
Not much. How are you guys?
We're still always trying to figure out how to say your last name, Fotsch.
Yeah, there's a lot of letters in there.
Why so many weird letters thrown in there for no reason? Just to
Why is your
confuse
name your name?
Does that confuse everybody?
It's like Scotch, but Fotch.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
So what the hell's been going on? You've been doing some like bobsledding. Like how did this come to be? What's up with that?
Yeah, seriously. It's absolutely nuts. Never in a million years did I think I'd be doing that. But so basically last summer, and around July, Kaylee Humphreys, one of the pilots on the US team, reached out to me and asked if I had ever thought about bobsledding. I was like, honestly, no, only because I had no idea how people got into it. I thought every bobsledder only came from track. And I was like, I'm the opposite of track coming from swimming and CrossFit. And so we started talking a bit, had some meetings with the coaches over there on the US team. And then one thing led to another. We got to train together a bit just to see what the bobsled training was like. I drove out to California, and then she let me know around September or a little bit before that I could have the opportunity to go out to the Olympic Training Center to try bobsledding out and then potentially go through the trials process of making the national team. And she was like, hey, there's no promises with any of this. And like, hey, you might go down the track and absolutely hate it. But, you'll never know until we try. So kind of took a leap of faith a bit there and felt like it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. So went out there in mid to late September. And then we got on the track for the first time, I think early November. And then,
You're digging it.
Doing it since.
You're having a good time with it.
Yeah, it was. It's so interesting how I kept asking everyone, what to expect. What does it feel like going down the track? All this stuff, and everyone tries to explain it, but they're like, "Hey, listen, it's something you have to experience. It's not like a roller coaster. It's not like anything else." And I was like, "Come on, it's got to be like something." And then having gone in it, I was like, yeah, you're right. It's really like nothing I've ever experienced before. Okay. And it was absolutely crazy. I think my biggest fear going down at first, one was I was like, I just need to get in the sled. I was like, I can't not get in the sled. One, that's embarrassing. And two, it makes it so much harder for the pilot to get down the track. But I get car sick really easy. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I was like, I don't know if I'm just going to puke everywhere when I get to the bottom or anything, but I was totally fine. And for whatever reason, bobsledding does not trigger any motion sickness. So that's good.
I'm so curious, like when you went down there the first day, because I don't know, I'd assume that people that bobsled have been bobsledding for a minute. But when you went down there for the first day, you are a powerful athlete. You seem like you're probably pretty fast too. Did they notice anything that was like, oh shit, she's better at this than a majority of these other athletes? Or like what had you stand out from a lot of these other athletes that may have come from just the track background? Because you did so many other like sick things as an athlete.
Oh, thanks. Well, I would say for me, and still what I'm working on. So I'm a strong, like you said, that was my strength back in CrossFit and swimming. I was strong and powerful, definitely fast in the water, but I've never had to technically learn how to sprint. So, I mean, I've done a few sprinting things here and there in CrossFit, like when we were training for the games, practicing somewhat of a sprint event, but it was usually shuttle style or something like that.
Yeah.
And I've never really gone over sprinting mechanics. And so that's the biggest thing. And that's what, me versus some track athletes that are bobsledding or have been bobsledding is just the overspeed and getting comfortable with running downhill.
Overspeed?
Which is, sorry, what?
What's overspeed?
Or just like the running downhill component. So not just sprinting, but then like it reminds me a lot of in swimming to prep for big meets. Cause I was a sprinter in swimming. We would do like bungee work where you have like a bungee with a belt tied to you. And so it's like assisted swimming.
Yeah.
So essentially like that, like getting comfortable when you're running downhill and still pushing the sled, not just running behind it. So I think that's like for me, the first few times, there's just an oh shit moment of you're running downhill and you're like, this thing feels like it's going to get away from me. And I just need to get into it. So that's definitely something that took some getting used to and still working on, just being able to not only keep up with the sled, but still applying force on it while you're going downhill.
That sounds so frightening.
Yeah, running downhill is fucking impossible too, even without a sled.
Yeah.
Kills your knees.
Holy shit.
What do you have to do any special prep to get your body ready and prepared for that? Or do you do anything now that's like specifically for the knees, or does it not bother your knees that much?
It actually hasn't been bad. I've definitely had to incorporate just some exercises in my warm up or after my workouts as accessory for like Achilles, adductor, hip flexors. My ankles are super mobile and loose, especially from swimming. So kind of working on getting them to stiffen up almost. So been doing a lot of that lately.
So being strong was just helpful though. As soon as you went down the track, it was something that like maybe separated you out from maybe some of the other people, or the other people involved in bobsledding super strong as well?
Definitely very, very strong. I think it helped that I already had that base. Sometimes, an athlete, maybe the opposite of me, would come in with the overspeed component and the sprinting component, but then have to work on building up the strength. So it's nice that I have that. The goal is still to get stronger, more powerful. It's not that you get to a point you're like, well, I'm strong enough now. So that's always a component, but definitely for me in my training right now, we're prioritizing the speed component just because that's lacking a little bit. So just trying to get that up a little bit. How
is your body holding up? You've been competitive for a very long time now. You were a swimmer at Cal Berkeley, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then you competed in the CrossFit Games, and you were going at it hard in CrossFit for a long time, and then now you're transitioning to this other sport, which is very physical. Are you banged up? You getting injured here and there? You're feeling pretty good?
I actually feel. There's always like little like my ankles, like getting used to it. Achilles definitely were pretty sore the first few days. Like we went on. So the Olympic Training Center has a push track that is essentially like the frame of a bobsled on just a regular like track material. And so it's just on some rails so you can practice just the initial hits and pushes. So we did a bunch of that before we actually got on the ice. And I definitely noticed that my Achilles and calves were not used to that. And I've just never had to, running downhill is just not something I had to do. So my body definitely had to get used to that a bit. My hip flexors were so sore at the beginning. But honestly, as my body's adapted to it, I feel really good. There's definitely days like I've only been on 2 tracks thus far, and like Lake Placid is definitely a rough track. And the first time I went down, my neck was so sore. But now it's definitely adapted to it. I would say I just don't feel super beat up. Like I think there's still an adaptation process. Like my body's still figuring out what we're doing. But overall, I feel really good.
As far as like, you right now on that bobsled team, is there like a roster of people like, and everyone's training to be to be like on the like specific Olympic team, or are you like on the Olympic bobsled team? Because I'm curious, like if there's like reserves or any type of that type of stuff, how that works and how it will work when you get to the Olympics.
Right. So the Olympic team has not been picked yet.
Okay.
So they pick the team pretty close to when the Olympics will happen, which is in February of next year, which makes a lot of sense because, picking it now, there's so much that can happen in a few months, whether it's people all of a sudden peaking like really close to the Olympics or just, showing out more, or injuries or like stuff like that. So this summer we'll do a bunch more testing and evaluation to kind of help the coaches and the committee select that team. It also depends on how many sleds we qualify for the Olympics. So we're hoping to qualify 3 sleds, which would be awesome because then that's more spots for brakemen as well.
What does that mean exactly?
And
qualifying sleds.
So basically, like any other Olympic team, you have to basically, it goes by your overall rank in the world. And so I believe it's only a few countries can qualify 3 sleds. So, and not every country will have 3 competitive sleds, but I believe right now it's looking like it's between us, Canada, and I think maybe 2 other countries kind of battling it out for that 3rd sled. So it'll depend so next season when that starts up in the fall, there will be a lot of World Cup races, and depending on how those go and just the world rankings and points and all that stuff, that'll dictate who gets a 3rd sled. And then depending on whether we have 2 or 3, then there's a committee that picks who. So each sled needs a brakeman, and then also each sled needs an alternate. Yeah. So if there's 2 sleds, there would be 4 people, 6 or 3, there would be 6. So there's always alternates and stuff just in case anything were to happen at the Olympics. So yeah.
Cool. Isn't bobsled, isn't it fucking cold? Like what's a California girl doing like on a track full of ice? And your sisters must have gave you shit. They must have been like, what's going on with this? This is weird.
Yeah. I did grow up for a good majority of my childhood in Illinois, so I was like a little prepared. But I will say that, especially having lived in Arizona for about 3 years, it was a rude awakening going to Lake Placid, New York, and having it be the last time we were there. One of the days was 15 below, I think.
Holy shit.
And it's
unnecessary.
That's one of the coldest areas in the whole United States, I think. So there are certain times a year. Brutal. Yeah,
it's one thing to just be that cold, but then to try and warm up and push when it's that cold is a whole nother ball game. But I mean, you get used to it, and you get a lot smarter about what you wear and layering and wearing like 3 to 4 pairs of pants. And it's
no more CrossFit outfits.
Yeah, definitely. I think yesterday I started working out again this week, or training this week, and it was the first time I've worked out in shorts in months. I was
that's so free.
Only pants out there.
He said only pants, and that was kind of funny. Okay, I'm sorry. So
not only pants.
It's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
All right, this is gonna sound so dumb, but I mean, and you've probably gotten this so much, but everyone saw Cool Runnings as a kid, right?
Yeah,
and you saw 4 bobsledders. Now going through your IG, when I see you, it's like you and one other person. So is there like different bobsleds? Like, what's the deal with that?
Yeah, so men get 4-man with the 4 people and 2-man, and women get 2 women. And so basically, actually, 2 of our pilots fought really hard over the last few years, because up until this year, It's always been men have the two events of 4-man and 2-man, and we only have 2-man. And they fought super hard just because it's less opportunities to get a medal. It's less people in the sport. And they were trying really hard to get 4-man to be an event for women. And they just weren't budging with it, unfortunately. And it's really a shame because, to backtrack a little bit. So instead of 4-man, they gave women monobob, which is a single person sled.
Do men have that
cool.
too?
Sorry, what?
Do men have monobob too?
No. So that's essentially our second event in, as opposed to 4-man.
Yeah.
So Alana and Kaylee, two of our pilots, both Olympic medalists, both total badasses. They raced 4-man. They got people together just to prove that women could do it and were fully capable of doing it. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. I think it'd be really cool in the future if it did. I think it's still great that there is a second event. It's definitely a step in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Selfishly for me, I wish 4-man was a thing. It's super. I think it would get more people into the sport. There's more opportunities. And even though it's definitely a team sport, there's the two of you walking up there and you've got to get this sled down the track as fast as possible. But there's definitely, like, watching the guys, there's way, when there's 4 of you, there's even more of a timing component into it. You've got more of like a squad up there. And still, I love 2-man, not saying it, but like, I think it would be cool if one day women could have both. But yeah, so that's why.
Any idea what the thought process was behind women not having that in the beginning? Like, do you think, was it physical? Did people used to think that the women wouldn't be strong? Like, do you need to be stronger for the 4-man type thing?
The sled definitely is heavier, and it goes faster just because it's a heavier sled. You've got more bodies in there. And I think that I'm not 100% positive, but I do believe that was a component that, certain people might have thought that women weren't physically capable of doing that. So I think that's what Alana and Kaylee were out to prove. They're like, okay, you think we can't? We're going to show you we can. And they did. Even while we were having our trials race, like one of the girls helped out one of the guys' teams and like got in on a sled. So, I believe that we're 100% physically capable of doing so. And it would be really cool. But for now, we don't.
What's up with the other stuff like luge and what is it, skeleton, right? Like
yeah. So
those are done. Are those done in the same kind of, like, I guess maybe I'll just say track. I don't know what it's called, but are they done in the same area? Is it like is it maybe similar to swimming, where swimming and diving, they're both done in water, but they literally have nothing to do with each other?
It is very similar. So like we are like USA Bobsled and Skeleton. So Skeleton goes down the same track.
They go down head first, right?
Yeah.
And then luge is on your back. You're on your stomach, right?
Yeah. Skeleton's on your stomach, luge is on your back.
What?
Yeah.
Never heard of
going 110 miles an hour or something.
Why do
right?
they call it skeleton?
I'm sorry. Is this like on a sled on your stomach? What's the deal here? What's going
on a sled.
You're on a sled. You're on your stomach, and you're like a fucking torpedo with a special helmet on.
Yeah. No. So it's crazy.
Have you tried that?
No.
Would you?
I have not. I don't think so. Maybe from there's different starts going down the track, because like when drivers are first starting out, you're not just like, okay, we're going from the top today. So that would be terrifying. But so they'll start like Lake Placid, I believe, has 4 different starts. So they'll start at start 4 and then kind of work their way up. So if I were to do it, I would definitely want, which I'm sure they would tell me to start from start 4, but that's where I would.
Yeah.
And
Smart.
so how often are you going on the track itself? Because it seems like I don't know the logistics of it all, but it seems like a pain in the ass to get the sled all the way to the top of the track and then eventually go down. It's almost like you probably have to do a shit ton of work before you actually do that. But how often are you actually going into the track to try to perfect your time and all that?
Yeah, so it kind of depends during which part of the season, but when we were out there for team trials and all that stuff, we were going out to the track, I want to say like 5 days a week, depending on the week and everything, and then having days off before race days. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of moving things, whether it's sleds or anything else. There's so much that I didn't know went into it. And so basically how our day starts, like if we were going to start sliding at 3:00, we would probably get to the garage around like 1:30. You prep the sled, put the runners on the sled, flip it down, get it on a truck, get on the truck with the sled, ride it to the start of the track, unload the sled, move it over. And then there's these things called scabbards, which go onto the runners, make it easier to move, protect the runners. You get those off, put it on the ice. There's like this ice pad right next to the start of the track. Put it on there. Then you go warm up, get in the sled, go down the track. And then you get it on scabbards again, get it on another truck, and then you bring it all the way back up. So it's like, it's definitely, I think that's also a component that has helped me, like just moving heavy objects around. Like that's something that I'm like, okay, like I'm ready to do this. Like I was made to do that. So that's one thing that, I didn't know it was a component at first, but definitely was ready to go.
The sled's like 600 pounds, maybe?
Yeah, the 4-man are around that. The women's sled are around, get the exact number, like 3 something. So,
and then how do you prep this thing? Like you got to like pour coconut oil on it or something? what are we doing to this
the
thing?
Olympics, they use MCT oil.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So basically which runners the pilot selects depends on the weather and the condition of the ice. So like they'll pick different thickness of runner depending on how cold it is. So like fatter runners are going to be faster, but you have less control on the ice. So they'll pick, each pilot has a few sets of runners. And then depending on the day and for training days, they'll use like a crappier set of runners than on a race day. And then we get the runners on the sled, we'll align them and all that. And then for a race day, the nights leading up to it, we'll sand the runners to make them super shiny and nice and fast. And then, so there's a lot of prep work in that as well.
Yeah. I thought you guys would have like a whole team. Like I didn't know that you yourself were actually a part of that. Just in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, this is the Olympics here, so like they probably have like a whole nother squad that like I'm like some engineers and shit like that are like gonna know exactly what degree of this and that. But I find that interesting that it's you guys that actually are the ones that are like literally picking up the damn sled and putting it back on top of the hill.
Oh yeah.
That's wild.
And I mean, we also have a great lead mechanic who helps with like testing out new stuff on the sled and getting that race day prepped. But yeah, I mean, it's all, as far as moving and stuff, it's all us. And I mean, I think that's also something too, like on race days, we kind of, it's like an unspoken thing. Like, if you're racing, like you focus on your race, like what you need to do, warming up and all that stuff. And if you're not racing, like we're going to move your sled to the line. So like you're not getting yourself exhausted before the race. So that's where just the team component of it helps a lot. And then that like, okay, like I'm going to help my teammates on their race days and then like they'll help me on mine. So you
guys ever mess up and the sled just takes off on you and you're like, fuck, and it goes all the way down the hill?
No, I have not. No, I mean,
can
I've seen
picture it just being
videos of,
so sad. Being like, oh, because I mean, if it's gone, it's probably gone, right? I mean,
oh yeah. I mean, I haven't seen where like no one gets in. I mean, I've seen videos where the brakemen don't get in.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, oh man, that's brutal.
All right. So I'm so curious, like what's going on inside the sled, because it's like, okay. And also there are no weight classes for this, right? Because I was wondering, like, if let's just say some really big, strong person's in there, well, since there's like more weight, maybe it moves faster. So there's that component I'm curious about. But also inside the sled, what does your body kind of do to, like, are you guys like on turns? Is your body moving the one way or another way? Is there a wheel? Like, what's the deal? Like, how's it work?
Yeah, so there's no weight classes per se, but there is a max weight that you can be like. So the sled, or the two people in the sled, there's a max weight you can weigh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure. If there wasn't, I'd be like gaining all the weight and be like, here we go.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's ideal if there's also a minimum that the sled can weigh. So ideally, the pilot and the brakeman are weighing enough where you don't have to, because you do want to be heavy going down the track. I mean, it's a gravity sport, but you want to ideally, like me, if me and my pilot are super light, then we're trying to add weight into the sled to make it heavier, but then we have to push the heavier sled. So ideally you want that weight on you and not on the sled.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was your other question?
Inside of the sled, like, is there a wheel or something, or are you guys just kind of like, how do you physically, other than the initial part where you push the sled and gain that momentum, how do you gain an advantage as you're sliding down? What's your body doing inside?
Yeah, so the pilot has what are called D-rings. So it's not like a steering wheel. It's literally just these little rings that look like that attached to some bungee cords. So the runners just turn like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super slight movements. Like I've seen pilots have talked to them about, like, it's super like centimeters of movement. You're not like steering like this.
Yeah.
So it's super, super like small adjustments. But and then as for me, I hop in and it's super minimal inside the sled. There's no like, I mean, there's kind of a seat, but it's like very relatively bare in there. Like you have what you need. You don't want like excess stuff. Yeah. And so like we'll add padding here and there. Like if you go down and you've got like huge bruises somewhere, like in training, sometimes we'll wear like knee pads or elbow pads just so we're not getting beat up for no reason. But then on race day, like you have way less stuff on you. But when you get in, you've got foot pegs to kind of press against. So that's a big thing. So like pressing against the foot pegs to keep your butt back. So it's like a balance of, you don't want to be getting thrown all over the sled because then you're causing more movement in the back. And that's just more difficult for the pilot. But you also don't want to be so rigid that you're not like moving at all. So for me, like I'm thinking about really pushing through the foot pegs and just staying as low as possible, because you don't want your head to be so high that you're causing it's just bad for aerodynamics and all like that. But there's not necessarily like leaning or anything, but it does help that was one thing like in prepping for I mean, my first run down the track, I was just like, holy shit, what the fuck did I get myself into? I had no idea where I was on the track or what was going on. But now it's cool because like there's POV videos on YouTube that you can watch. And just knowing where you are in the track at what time really helps. So you just know where the sled is going to go. So you're not getting thrown side to side a ton.
So then your eyes, you're actually not even seeing the track at all?
No, I mean, sometimes I open my eyes. Like the only thing I can see is there's like a hole in the bottom of the sled for the brake to go through. So, I mean, I can see like just ice going by, but other than that, like, no, I can't see anything.
Did I hear you say that sometimes you open your eyes? Like,
yeah. I mean, like, I feel like sometimes I'll close them, sometimes I open them.
Wow.
Just depends.
Oh man, so that's a lot of just trying to memorize each track then. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's definitely, and some tracks are easier to, again, I've only been on 2. Some tracks are easier to kind of feel than others. Like I've been in Park City and then Lake Placid, and they're super, super different. Park City is not as aggressive on the body. Lake Placid is rough, like you really feel it. Park City is really smooth, so you could do tons and tons of runs on that and be good to go.
Closing your eyes is really interesting. You can sometimes concentrate more. Like if you're lifting, sometimes it helps calm you down a little bit. Do you ever do that in Nsima? Do you ever do that in jiu-jitsu? Sometimes close your eyes, right?
Yeah, oddly enough, yeah.
Like, or look away from the opponent. You don't really need to see him, right?
Yeah, no, sometimes I'll close my eyes, especially when things are feeling really good. Like it allows you to just feel around and feel what you're doing. It kind of, in some cases, it makes things a little bit easier. It's really weird. I can't explain.
No, it makes sense that you're processing too many things at one time and moving that fast. It actually makes quite a bit of sense to have your eyes closed.
Yeah, right,
hard to interpret what's going on when you're. How fast are you going approximately?
So at Lake Placid, I think the speeds were around like 70, 80 miles an hour.
Damn.
I think the fastest track is, I haven't been on it, but in Whistler. I think that's supposedly the fastest one.
I'd imagine at some point you must have flipped, right? What's that experience like if you have flipped over? I mean, it seems like you just continue down the track upside down, right? I mean,
yeah. So it's very rare that like they'll go all the way over. And I actually did have my first crash in Park City. And it was funny. My boyfriend, who's actually on the men's team, I made a comment a few months in, something about like, oh, I'm a real bobsledder now, like kind of joking. He's like, you're not a real bobsledder until you crash. And I was like, all right. But not something that I was like, oh man, I got to crash now. That wasn't my thinking at all. But in Park City for one of our North America's Cup races, it was our second run. So each race you get 2 runs and then your score is the total time. And it was our second run. And that track has 15 curves. Yeah, 15. And we crashed out of, I think it was 13. And I remember, and the good thing is the pilots and everything go over crash protocol and what to do. And I was like, if we crash, there's no way I'm going to be coherent enough to be like, oh, remember to do this. Mm-hmm. But it was good that I mean, like your adrenaline just goes through the roof. So I just remember it goes really, because it's very loud when you're going down the track. And right before we crashed, it got really silent. And then all of a sudden I felt something on my back and I was like, that's not normal. Mm-hmm. And so it was the ice on my back just from one of the walls. And then I felt like the ice on my head. And so we actually ended up sliding through the finish line. And this track, there's a low point. So you actually are going a little bit uphill to go through the finish line. And so we actually got through the finish. So our time counted and everything because we were both in the sled. But then because it was uphill a little bit, we slid back. Oh. And then so we just went back and forth and back. And I was like, when is this going to end? Oh, and honestly, that was scarier than the initial crash for me, just because you're picking up a lot of speed and like your head is on the ice. And they say to like rotate between like your head being on the ice. Like if you feel like you're starting to get like an ice burn on your shoulder, you can like rotate between the two. But we were both fine. Thankfully, like I had some ice burns on my back, but that's why we were burn vests. So yeah, so we were all good.
What are the what's it like dealing with the Gforces of, you know, going down and having the sled kind of take you every which way?
Yeah, so Park City definitely has more G's. Like you feel like some of the curves, it just feels like someone's just pushing on your back so hard. And then whereas Lake Placid has less of that and it's more of the just getting rocked side to side. It's definitely like one of the runs, I felt like my abs were going to cramp a little bit.
You'd be toast if that happened.
Yeah. It also, like, you got to make sure that you go to the bathroom before the races, because like that's what people told me. They're like, even if you think you might have to go to the bathroom before, just go, because like there's no holding it if you're going down that.
Has there been any like anything that can prepare you for that, or did they tell you like, no, the only way to get used to the G's and all this stuff is to actually just get out there and, you know, go down the track?
I mean, I think, yeah, definitely experience for sure. As far as like the sports med team is really good about giving like neck strengthening exercises, stuff like that, just so you don't get as beat up from the runs. But yeah, just getting reps down the track helps a ton.
And like outside of the Olympics or preparing for the Olympics, are there a lot of bobsled competitions going on, or do some of these athletes just go back to what they do? Like you go back to whatever you were doing before and whatever. And then when it gets closer, people start really doing bobsledding again.
Yeah. So like we won't get back on the ice until next fall. And that's usually when like the season starts, or when it did last year. But the really cool thing is actually in Lake Placid, they just built an ice house. So it's essentially like what we have as a push track, but ice instead of a track, which is just awesome because especially for brakemen, we can get reps at practicing our pushing without having to go down a track. And you can just get way more reps because when you are going down a track, like that's a lot for the pilot and the brakeman. So you're doing at max like 3 runs a day. Whereas like in an ice house, you can get as many hits as you want because it's not, because you're not having to go down the whole track. So that'll be really nice to have.
Did you have to change your training up quite a bit? You know, I'd imagine like the other bobsledders probably do certain exercises and stuff. Did you have to incorporate those, or you just went along with what you normally do?
Oh yeah. Training has changed a lot. Intensity is way higher. Reps are much lower. Getting to lift a lot heavier, which is very fun for me. So yeah, I would say the biggest thing is I get a lot of rest now, which is definitely needed for the workouts I'm doing. But it was something I wasn't used to. Like I'm so used to just going into the gym and I'm like, we just got to move through everything as fast as possible. And even just working up to sets in whether it's squats, cleans or whatever, it was always like, we just got to do it quickly. And just getting better at, being more explosive through my lifting, and as well as, like the reps have changed drastically. Like I'm working towards putting a little more emphasis on like what my 1 rep max or 3 rep maxes would be versus me being able to rep out 80%, 20, 30 times, whatever it is. And then also another big thing is how I run now, and my running workouts are very different. Like before, I was training to run 5Ks or, a few miles with a backpack and then into a 1 rep max, something like that. Whereas now, running lots of 30s, 60s, 10s, stuff like that. So it's a whole new world.
You're on the track a lot, I'd imagine, right? Running?
Yeah. So we've been primarily, either on turf or a track. So yeah, been very different. Got myself a set of track spikes. So that was really cool. Something different. It's been really, really fun. Sometimes very frustrating just because, it's learning a whole new skill, but also very rewarding.
Are you pretty fast in comparison to some of the other girls?
I would say I'm definitely not the fastest. That's where I've got a lot of room, or I think I have the most to gain at that. So I would say, like, even right now, I'm not lifting as much as, left to my own devices, I would just lift all the time. But we have to just prioritize the sprinting and stuff more, because that will be part of what we're evaluated on this summer. Like, we'll do a little combine that will have a sprint component to it. So I got to make sure that I show up for that.
What's the main struggle with like sprint mechanics, being someone who hasn't like done much sprinting in the past and adding that in? So what were some of your main hurdles when learning how to sprint correctly?
Yeah, I would say dorsiflexion was just not something that I was used to. And I would say because of how my ankles are and what with swimming, super good to have really mobile, flexible ankles. Same thing with CrossFit, like really helped with pistols and my lifting and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I definitely noticed, like, watching some of my first sprinting and pushing videos, when I go to plant my foot, my ankle would kind of collapse, which is just, like, you're just leaking so much power that, like, you want to cast your ankle. So, the rest of your hips, your glutes, hamstrings can actually do the work. So that's been why we've been working so much on that.
Is there any, I guess, odd or just anything super hyper specific to bobsledding, like as far as like exercises and things where you weren't doing before, but now, I don't, like jumping into the sled or something like that, where you're like, oh, now I have to do this over and over and over?
As far as like weight room stuff goes, I would say there's nothing like, I would say, like, for working on the initial hit, like doing, like sprint accelerations off of a block. So like setting up like a 2x4 or something with some weights behind it, just so it doesn't slip, and like practicing really exploding off that block versus starting in like a 3-point stance or something like that. So that's been something that, just getting used to. And that's something that I can practice here or wherever, even if I'm not on the ice. So that's been good.
What about just like learning this like new sport in general? Has that been difficult transition? Like, I don't know, you go to a track and you go somewhere and someone's like, oh, that's so-and-so. And you're like, like, I don't know who the fuck any of these people are, and the coaches and stuff like that. Was that a hard process, and the terminology even?
Yeah. I would say, when I first got there, there were just so many moving parts, and now looking back, I'm like, man, there was so much I didn't know. And still, I'm still learning every day, but I think it was one of those things where I was like, I want to help, but I like don't want to break anything. And I'm so nervous. And like, so I think that's the thing, was just, and luckily the pilots on the team are super, super good at just teaching the new brakemen. And, there was so much stuff, like, we align, especially with prepping the sled, that I just had no idea, what shims were and why we use them on the runners. And I don't know, just using more tools than I ever have in my life, which my dad is, probably so proud of. But yeah, there was definitely a learning curve for sure. And then I think also part of it is it's been super humbling. I, pride myself in being a very athletic person. And I think it's hard sometimes to go back to, but I feel like CrossFit kind of prepared me for it, because CrossFit's always adding in new things, and you kind of have to let go or check your ego at the door and be like, I'm going to look stupid for a bit. But that's okay. Like, even doing going through track warm-ups in front of people who have been doing this their whole life. And I'm like, I know I look ridiculous right now, but I just got to do this, because if I don't do it, I'm not going to get any better. So it's definitely very humbling at times, but I mean, that's part of it. That's part of learning anything new. So
it's actually what I was going to ask you. Like, I mean, there are some people who've just been doing this for the longest time. Are there quite a few other athletes out there that are kind of new like you, or are a majority, if not all other people there, do they have a bit of a history with bobsledding?
So most have been doing it for, there's some people on the team who've been doing it like 10 plus years. There's a few that this is like their third or fourth season. And then like Kelsey Keel, who came from CrossFit, like we came in at the same time, brand new. So that was really cool to just have, we had actually never met before until bobsledding, which is so funny because we both like knew of each other through Instagram and stuff. But so that was really cool to come in with someone who also knew absolutely nothing. And coming from the same sport, like that helped a lot too. So it's kind of all over the place with how long people have been doing it.
I could see a lot of CrossFitters start getting like just because the build of like the general archetype of a high level CrossFitter. I could see a lot of CrossFitters start getting into bobsled. Have you, after what you've done recently, have a lot of CrossFitter like women hit you up and like, hey, what's that like? Or I'm curious about it, or not really?
Not a ton, but I do remember like I had one friend of mine was like, she just said like, oh, that looks so fun. Or she said something like, I was doing this horrible CrossFit workout today, and I was just like, I just want to push a sled. I was like, but yeah, like stuff like that. But actually, not too many.
Not too many.
Did you make some of this transition before or after some of the CrossFit like fallout that happened?
So I think it was after. But it definitely wasn't like going into until, I started talking to Kaylee and the team and stuff. I was fully prepared to keep going. I was like, okay, I've made it as an individual. And my goal was to make the top 10 at the CrossFit Games. That was my next big goal. I was like, all right, like I know what I have to work on.
And what's the furthest you made it?
Sorry, what?
What's the furthest that you made it in the CrossFit Games?
So in 2019, I was 27th, I believe. So yeah. And that was definitely like a tough year, as it was for a lot of athletes with the new cuts and stuff like that. I definitely wasn't the only one going through all that. But did a lot of good reflecting after the games and what I really wanted to do moving forward. And that was the game plan. So, I mean, it definitely wasn't like I was on my way out of CrossFit and then this kind of came along. Like I was full speed ahead with CrossFit, but then like, God works in really crazy ways sometimes. And this just seemed like a really good opportunity. And I feel very, very good about the decision to do this. Yeah.
What are you in school for?
So I am finishing up my master's in kinesiology. And then a few months ago, I started a applied business data analytics degree through ASU. So that's been super fun. And actually my sister is and it's all remote, which is great. Because
sounds really boring, Colleen.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, it is. My last class was advanced Excel, and I was like,
advanced Excel. Holy shit. So much fucking spreadsheets. Oh God.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was like one of the most frustrating. Like I would get out of exams like 2.5 hours, and I just look like I don't know, just
your eyes
total
just bugging out of your head, right?
Yeah, it was just like, but it's been really cool. Just something I was really interested in, and was looking around for a degree like that, and then found the one through ASU. And it's been extremely rewarding just because in the past, that's something that I would always be like, well, that's just not something I'm good at. That doesn't come easy to me. The math, science, all that stuff. Like, I mean, in advanced Excel, we were coding and whatnot. And I was like, that's just not something that's up my alley. So it's like, I mean, I have to work my ass off in it, but when I do well in it, it's just that much more rewarding because it's just not something that comes easy to me. But so it's definitely, I mean, there are some days where I'm like, why did I do this to myself? Mm-hmm. But I really, really do enjoy it.
Any idea what you'll do with those degrees?
So I would love to work for a company where I can kind of mesh the two things of like data science as it pertains to like health, wellness, athletic performance, that type of thing. So like stuff like, Apple Plus is doing their fitness thing. Like you've got Aura Ring, Whoop, like stuff like that. So I would love to potentially work at a company where I can kind of work on like the back end of some of that stuff. So I think that'd be really cool.
As an athlete, actually, do you use any wearables or devices, and do you track any metrics for your heart rate, the recovery, etc., or do you kind of just do that intuitively?
So I started using first I started using Aura Ring because both my parents got one, and sleep is definitely something that I tend to struggle with, just like falling asleep, getting really good consistent sleep. So I kind of wanted to do this because I felt like it would hold me accountable a little more, like knowing that every morning I was going to open an app and like it's going to show you right then and there, like if you got enough sleep. And then I was just curious about the Whoop. So I got one of those, and I've got my Apple Watch as well. So I've got lots of things. I think for me, like it's fun to just geek out on all the data. I would say that like for me, it depends. Like I really do like looking at the sleep component, especially like that. I'm really interested in that. I would say that I'm the type of person who, like, especially around my races and stuff with bobsledding, I just didn't look at any of it because, if for whatever reason, like my Aura Ring, Whoop or whatever is saying, you're not recovered. And then I've got in the back of my head that whole day, well, I'm not recovered. I probably am not going to do well. Like, not that should affect me now, but like it is something versus like me just going based on how I feel. And at the end of the day, whether I wake up feeling 100% or 70% or whatever, like I've still got to perform. So it doesn't really matter. So I think for me, like I love seeing the data, but especially around times where I'm trying to perform, it's better for me if I just don't look at it. But yeah.
Anything special you do for recovery? I think you do like ice baths, and like what else do you do for recovery?
Yeah. So, ice baths for sure. Also regular baths. Got some good like CBD bath bombs that I like to use. Those are nice. And just blood flow and stretching. I mean, most of the time, like I don't want to do it, but I know that I'm going to feel better if I do. And also I'm also traveling with all my sidekick tools and stuff like that, like muscle scraping, rolling out, all that good stuff. And then sleep, especially just like my sleeping and eating are a huge component to my recovery. As much as I would say like, especially in my CrossFit career, that was one thing, my sleeping, I knew what I had to do to get better sleep, and I just was really stubborn and I just didn't want to do it. So that's one thing that I've been really, really working on dialing in. And I feel like it's never, you get to a point where you're like, okay, it's all dialed in now and I never have to work on it again. It's like a day-to-day thing. And then the eating, especially just making sure I'm fueling enough to recover properly and stay fueled.
Have you ever tried mouth tape? And have you ever tried to stop eating like several hours before you go to bed?
I have not tried mouth tape. So is that just taping your mouth shut so you're breathing through?
Yeah,
your
and you
nose?
can go on Amazon and buy. You can look up mouth tape and just buy some. Might be something to try.
Yeah.
Do you snore?
No, that'd be really. Sorry, what?
Do you snore?
Probably.
Yeah, well, it's
So I know if I sleep on my back, I do snore, and I'll end up just waking myself up from snoring. But I'm a side sleeper, so I think when I'm on my side, I'm all good.
Yeah.
But like when my allergies kick in, I for sure snore.
Oh, shit.
So
It might
yeah.
really help. It may that because like I used to sleep like that too. Or I used to snore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I used to snore and I'd like wake up with a dry mouth. And yeah, mouth tape made a big difference for me in terms of, you know, breathing through my nose when I sleep, but then my sleep quality, it changed. I've been using that. It changed. So
Yeah, I'll have to try that.
Yeah.
What about stopping eating at a certain time, which for me is like always kind of annoying. Like I'd rather kind of eat closer to bed, almost not like right before bed, but have you ever tried to stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bed?
Yeah, I usually try to do that as much as I can. And like you said, like trying to find a balance between, I definitely don't like going to bed super full, but then going to bed really hungry also sucks. Because I've definitely woken up in like the middle of the night and I'm like, I won't go back to sleep until I need a snack. I end up having the snack. But yeah, so definitely like usually trying to cut off, like probably 2 hours before I go to bed.
I heard you say mention muscle scraping. How's that? Because I saw you doing some of that on a video on your IG. How's that been beneficial for you? How's it helped? I've never done that before, but it looks pretty interesting.
Yeah. So pretty much since swimming days, like every PT or chiro I've been to has done some version of it. And it's just never something that I did on my own or I knew you could do on your own. And then I knew some companies made them, but I knew it was kind of, or a few years ago, it was kind of tricky to get them. Like, I think I got one through a friend of mine who was a chiro. But then I started working with Sidekick, and it's just been really nice to be able to travel with some of them, especially when I know I'm not going to be able to go see anyone, or like, you know, the last few times I've been to New York, like we have to quarantine for a week before we can, you know, get out and do anything. So like having those tools available has been huge. And especially for like my calves and Achilles, like that's been like really trying to focus on my feet, just because like with all the sprinting and stuff, they're definitely taking a beating. So those have been super helpful with that.
What's your food look like? Like you mentioned food for recovery. Like, has it changed at all, the way you're eating, and what are you eating?
So it honestly, like as far as macros go, so I originally thought that I was like, okay, I'm going to be doing way less volume. I thought I was going to have to eat way less. I was like, there's no way I can eat the same amount. Like I'm going to blow up to like 190 and it's just going to be like, so it didn't happen. So that was good. But it's interesting that, you know, the intensity is just that high. And I think it's not just the training, but like, you know, we were talking about before, like moving the sleds all the time, like you're burning a lot more than you think. And so I would say like I'm eating pretty much the same macro wise. And what I'm eating is also pretty much the same. Like going out to New York is really nice because at the OTC, they have a full cafeteria and everything. So that's been really nice. And Trifecta is still sending my food out there, which was awesome. Just in case, like for a meal, there's just stuff that I wouldn't normally eat. And that's definitely tough, especially when you travel anywhere, like trying to avoid consistently eating things that aren't normal for me. So it's been pretty much the same. I thought it was going to have to change a lot, but it didn't.
Well, and along with that, I'm also curious, like currently, as far as like your body's concerned, you mentioned that in your training, you're training much heavier now. You're increasing strength, doing more 1 rep maxes. Are you also trying to put on some mass and muscle currently, or are you trying to like just stay the same weight and get stronger to help with your performance on the sled?
So I was actually talking to my coach about this the other day. So like ideal weight for me with like the pilots and everything is around 170 pounds. So that's where we're going to stay. But I would say like the goal right now is maybe a little more like body composition wise, like trying to lean out to make sure I'm not basically like every part of me is being useful for, moving this sled. So that's what I'm focusing on now. And I definitely gave myself like a few weeks of lots and lots of treats, and I definitely feel it. So I'm back on it, which is good. And that's the thing. Like every once in a while, like, don't get me wrong, I love, having whatever, but then it just, I crave eating how I normally eat because it just makes me feel better. So that'll be the goal for now.
And this actually makes me curious about one more thing. As far as like, because compared to probably what you're doing in CrossFit, I would assume, and I could be totally wrong, but I would assume that the workouts now overall burn less calories. So if I'm right in that assumption, are you eating less too right now because it doesn't require as much food, or am I totally wrong?
I don't know exactly. Like I've never actually tracked like how much I was burning back then versus now, but I would say that, it's super interesting, and maybe it was just because my training also changed up a little bit. But when we first started getting on the ice and everything, I actually started losing weight, which was so weird for me because in CrossFit, it felt almost impossible to get below 170. Mm-hmm. And then, a few months into bobsledding, I was like 167. Yeah. And I wasn't trying to lose weight or anything. And I was like, what is going on? I was like, no, now's the time to like be heavier. And like my body was but I think my body was just figuring it out too. I think also sometimes with like the days we go to the track, because we're gone for such long periods of time, and like we do pack snacks and stuff like that, sometimes it's just hard to get enough food in. So while I was still tracking, I think there were probably definitely days where I wasn't eating as much. So I'm sure that played a role into it too.
And less resistance training too, right? At that time.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that was also a component. We weren't just because being on the ice was the priority. So we kind of were just making everything work around that. So probably lifting like maybe twice a week, like depending on what the schedule looked like.
Got it.
And you're pretty much just eating probably lean sources of meat, vegetables, starchy carbs, that kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. And then, right now I'm going like full, trying to reel it in as much as possible. But
what
like
happened,
normally,
Colleen, what kind of treats are we talking about here?
Well,
open up to us. You could tell us. We won't let anybody else know.
Thanks. So right after we were done in Lake Placid, my boyfriend and I took a trip to Chicago to this really, really awesome brewery. So there were some beers, and then there were also these really good cinnamon roll pancakes that we had earlier in the day.
See, that sounds worth it. That sounds like a good choice to me.
But we also, on our way to get the cinnamon roll pancakes and lots of other things, there was a donut shop. So, of course, we had to stop at the donut shop to also get a donut.
That makes you feel really fat when you're going from like one place to another, and you still have like the box, like you're rolling through like In-N-Out Burger, and you have like McDonald's like in the back of the car, and just, I don't know, you're just like, man, I'm really going downhill fast.
Yeah, I needed a donut for the road, to hold me over until I could eat the pancakes. So,
How long have you had your boyfriend for?
About, let's see, probably like 3-ish months.
Yeah, that throws another wrinkle into the whole equation, because you want to enjoy each other, right? Like you're not going to sit down and like eat chicken breast and broccoli, like that's not really. Is he a bobsledder as well?
Yeah. So he's on the men's team, and he's been bobsledding for a few years. He actually went to the Olympics in 2018.
Whoa.
And he was a javelin thrower at UCLA. So
It's like, hey, babe, let's go out to eat and bring our own Tupperware, bring our own food, and sip on some water.
he would be like, absolutely not.
Yeah, right. You gotta. So that happens a lot in couples when you're trying just to enjoy some good times together. So having some drinks and having some delicious food is a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. It was 100% worth it. Yeah,
that'd be so sick if you guys both ended up being able to go to the Olympics next year.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
That would be so cool.
Wow.
What else you got going on? Is there anything else? You're going to school. You're bobsledding. You got a boyfriend. All kinds of shit's going on all at one time.
Yeah, I know. Gotta staying really busy, but it's just awesome. I feel like very at peace and happy with where I'm at right now. And actually, my parents just moved out to Arizona, so that's even cooler.
Oh, awesome! That's great.
Yeah, to have family nearby. I mean, that's always been like a dream of mine to be at least near. I'm the oldest of 6 kids, so like to be at least near some of them. I figured I'm like, it's probably not realistic that we'd all be in the same state, but most of them are in California. So that's really close, 2 are in Dallas. So, but it's so cool to have them here. So like for holidays and stuff, everyone will be coming to Arizona. So that's super nice. And they're definitely enjoying the weather from Illinois. It's a big change.
You know, were you doing any bobsledding last year in 2020?
Yeah.
No? Yeah. So okay, obviously it's probably much easier now, but with all the crazy shit that was going on last year, how did that affect the training for bobsledding? Because I mean, with all the preparation you guys had to do, etc., like, I don't know, how was that for you?
Yeah. So there were lots and lots so basically when I flew out there, so in past years or what, I think happened, like you could more so come and go as you please. Obviously like with, you have to make sure with housing and everything at the OTC, but this time around, and that was one of the things that like normally if, this was any other year, I could have been like, oh, I'm going to go try bobsledding for a week. And then if I don't like it, I'll just leave. But it was a bigger commitment in that I had to go and then quarantine for a week. And then, so you're just kind of there for a few months. You can't just keep coming and going. So when we went out there, quarantined for a week, and then, wearing masks everywhere, we were tested twice prior to getting out of quarantine. And then when we started doing races and everything, we were tested every week just to make sure that no one in the bubble had gotten it, or that, would spread and stuff like that. So definitely a lot of, rules that were not in place years prior. But yeah.
And as far as like, I guess, competitions this year and next year, are there any rumblings about athletes needing to be vaccinated before competition, or just precautions that like, because like with jiu-jitsu tournaments now, you're starting to hear some organizations talking about like vaccine requirements, right? So as far as like the Olympics are concerned, I'm just curious on like what if anything has been kind of rumored to be going around about competing and COVID.
Yeah, so I haven't heard anything specifically about like what the IBSF would require for like next year's World Cup and stuff like that, or at the Olympics even. But I do think that for at least the USABS with the OTC and everything, we might be able, like if we get the vaccine, then we wouldn't have to quarantine. But there hasn't been any like mandated stuff as of now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think when you go back to CrossFit, I think you're going to do really well. I just think like having a break from it for a while and clearing your head, like you might just like not try so hard. So then it might come to you easier. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but I have a feeling that that's probably going to happen.
Yeah. I don't know if I would go back.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not.
you know,
I guess I haven't really.
You'll be back.
Yeah.
You'll be back.
Why do you not think you might? I'm just curious.
You know, I love being an athlete. I love competing, but there's also, and I don't know, like, I don't know how many more years I want to do bobsledding. And I'm really excited also at the same token, you know, kind of as I've been like setting up the next chapter of my life, and seeing what that looks like. And it's definitely been something that, I've been thinking a lot about. Well, I feel like I said before, like pretty much laser focused on just this year for now, but also setting myself up for years to come. But yeah, I don't know.
Do you think you want to have kids? I know it's a big question because you've only been with your boyfriend for 3 months, but just in general.
Yeah. No, I definitely want to have kids.
When are the kids coming?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely want to have kids. So that's a component too.
Right.
So yeah.
And also, I mean, I'm just curious about this too. So you're not sure how many more years you might do bobsledding, and there's all this other stuff, right? CrossFit. But are there any other sports that you may have wanted to compete in the future? Any other type of athletic things that you may have wanted to learn and just do? Or because I mean, you have all these like this with the water background too, right? Like in the pool. So I'm just curious about that.
Yeah. So I mean, recently it's been funny. I started golfing a little bit. Ooh. So that's been fun. I've got a lot of learning to do. But that not necessarily, I don't think I'll be competing in golf anytime soon, but more just for fun. Like I started it because my brothers and my sister-in-law are avid golfers, and I was just I had a little bit of FOMO every time they went to the golf course, and I was like, I want to do this too.
Yeah.
So I was like, I should probably learn so I'm not holding the crew up. But and then and my boyfriend really likes golf, so I think that'll be fun to do together. But I've been doing that. Not really anything else that I could see like competing in now. I feel like sometimes I look back, even though like I don't regret anything about my swimming career and choosing that path, and that was absolutely amazing. Sometimes I'm like, man, it would have been cool to like play ice hockey or play water polo or something like that. Or I don't know, football would be really fun. I would love to just like hit people.
It's hard to explore other things when you're a scholarship athlete, right? It's like,
for sure.
They don't even want you to mess around with anything else.
Yeah, no. And I mean, it makes sense, especially when you're trying to, win something like an NC2A championship. It takes, 100% dedication, and it's, like you said, kind of hard to explore other avenues.
How are you able to squeeze in time for having your vlog? I've seen that you've been putting out more stuff on YouTube. Is that fun for you, or is it kind of a pain in the butt because you're so busy with so many other things?
It's actually been really fun, and something that I think has been something I feel like I needed, and I didn't really know that I needed in a way. And I mean, there are definitely weeks I would say I've never felt like, oh, I don't want to post anything. Sometimes I get through. Actually, I did a Q&A on Instagram the other week, and someone asked, like, do you ever not want to post on social media and stuff like that? And I've never gotten that question, but there's never really come a time where I don't want to post or upload a video or anything. But sometimes I feel like I don't have exciting enough things to post. And I think starting the vlog, I was kind of like, man, but like, will people actually want to watch what I'm doing? Because some days just aren't super exciting. And, especially right now, training for any sport, sometimes it's just like day to day is very mundane because you just you wake up, you eat, you train, you sleep, and then I study. And like, but it's been really, really fun, not only because I get to do it with my brother who's editing the videos, but I think it's allowed people to get to know me a little better. Because I think I thought people knew me, and I think you get a glimpse of like who I am through Instagram, but I think it's just so different with long form content and stuff, and just getting to know my personality more and stuff like that. I think also it's been good for me, one, just to be comfortable in front of a camera. I mean, I remember getting interviewed in like high school and college for swimming, and I was deathly afraid of talking in front of a camera. And I was like, this is the worst. And just like getting used to carrying a camera around, and just, I mean, there are still days where I'm like, I look so strange. But then you realize that people aren't paying as much attention as you think they are around you. And I think that's been good for me to let go of, like, it doesn't matter. Like, if people think I look strange or weird just talking to myself and an inanimate object, but it's been a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Just talking to the screen when you first wake up with no makeup on, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You're like, damn, what are people going to say? Yeah. You get stuff you get used to.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing too, is like with Instagram, I think, it's so much more, or at least for me, like I remember watching my first few videos and I was just picking myself apart. And like, that's one thing I was like, I'm always going to have makeup on and my hair is always going to look a certain way. And I got it like, and then I was like, I can't, that's exhausting. I'm like, I can't do that. And I mean, there are definitely times where I watch my vlogs, I'm like, man, I look rough. But I mean, I think that's part of it, is like, I mean, that's why I like watching, YouTube and vlogs and stuff, because it's raw, it's real. Like you get, and that's the thing, like so it's just nice to kind of let that go a little bit. So, yeah.
Awesome. Where can people find you?
They can find me on YouTube, just Colleen Fotsch, and on Instagram, also Colleen Fotsch.
Great having you on the show today. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
You. See you later.
Bye.
Yo.
She's a badass athlete, huh?
She is. Man, after what she said about the 2-man, 4-man thing, what other sports in the Olympics do men have something that women don't? Like, I never really even thought about that. I thought there was always just a man and a woman component. But it's kind of weird that they're like, yeah, dudes can have 4 men, but women can't. I
think the women's movement, is always in motion, because like, I think, I know there's like Olympic style, like wrestling, but then I don't know if I'm sure at this point there probably is a female component to that, but I don't.
Yeah, there's a lot of different wrestling, like Greco-Roman. There's a bunch of, I wonder if women have all of those too, or if they just have, think, like,
it's, going off of old ideologies. And then on top of that, it's to change things now would just be difficult because it would just have to have money, And so I think that would, and I think that's why they have the one woman bobsled, is because they were like, well, if we open up more spots, that's more people that have to travel, that you have to pay for, and so on. I'm just speculating. I don't have any idea, but
yeah,
I'm just kind of making excuses here because it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
It doesn't. It's like it's fucking 2021. I mean, you can't spit a few extra fucking dollars to
right. Exactly.
Give them the same thing.
Well, and I think realistically, when people propose certain things, there's no reason why you can't meet them halfway. And maybe that's what they think, throwing the 1 man in there, maybe they think that's meeting them halfway. But what I would propose instead would be like, okay, well, we need to figure out ways to get money for this and get everybody together and figure out ways to get money for it. Yeah.
Bro, I'm just like imagining this. We want a 4-sled team. No,
we're going to give you.
Here's 1.
Yeah, right.
You can have 1.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they go through the trouble of like making the 1-man version of whatever, it's probably like expensive as it is. It probably doesn't really make any sense. Yeah. There's a lot of shit like that.
Damn.
Where it takes a group of people to push something forward because maybe, we weren't aware of it until an hour ago or whatever it was,
Yeah, that whole sport. I mean, I just
Don't know nothing about it.
don't know anything about it. And then, something as simple as like, yeah, where do you look when you're going down? And, she's like, oh, I might look through a hole in the,
Or close my eyes.
like, oh my gosh. Like, yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be tough to make yourself want to do that every day, but I guess you do it as a team as well. So that's another,
People are counting on you.
yeah, it's another component that makes it easier and probably makes it fun. And then you probably don't go on the ice every single day.
Yeah.
And if you do, it's probably just for a short period of time. So it makes it, that's cool. I just think it's interesting to jump from one, sport to another. She was very successful in CrossFit. She actually won, I believe she won one of the CrossFit Opens. Like she flat out won the entire thing. She was number one in the world, which is wild because that's one of the biggest competitions in the world. There's like 150,000 or 200,000 people that compete in it. So that's pretty amazing.
Man, I'm rooting for her. She'll make it. She'll make it. Bring home some medals.
That'd be so cool.
That'd be so sick, man.
Yeah.
That'd be so
Hell
sick.
yeah.
But that just makes me like, yeah. What other? Because I mean, everybody knows about bobsledding, but it had me thinking about just Olympic sports in general. Curling is the one where you like go like that, right? Yeah. There's so many Olympic sports you just don't know about. It's wild.
Well, yeah, especially when it comes to the Winter Olympics is like definitely. I think the Summer Olympics are coming up. I think pretty soon.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it was supposed to be last year, I think.
Was it?
I think so.
You're right.
No, yeah, you are right. Yeah.
I think it's the first time they ever maybe not the first time ever, but one of the only times in history that they ever moved an Olympics.
Let's see.
Just pushed it way back.
So apparently, I just Googled oddest Olympic Games.
Trampoline.
Rope climbing.
Oh, wow. I didn't. Wow.
Race walking.
Oh, yeah.
Power walking?
Yeah,
pretty
Bart
much?
was talking about that.
Yeah. What the fuck? Tug of war?
Bart can walk really fast, so he started like looking up times for that, and he was like, "Nope."
Oh, shit.
Bart.
Swimming
So,
obstacle
weird?
course.
That makes me wonder about the form. Like, there has to be like a form of walk. Because, like, you could just start like,
right.
going a little like,
Oh, yeah.
Right?
No, you ran.
Yeah. Didn't
You motherfucker, you ran. You were in flight. You were in air.
I could be totally wrong, but didn't somebody they were walking athlete, and I think they like totally cheated and they got caught. Shit.
What, were they doping for their walking competition?
No, they like hopped in like a car or something type of thing.
Nice.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Fuck. I probably
You know what sport has a lot of
Probably like a
doping?
TV show.
Surprisingly, is
powerlifting.
yeah, it's weird. It's powerlifters, man. They'll take all this shit and they get huge. Like motocross.
Whoa.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
I was shocked. So they have videos like more plates, more dates, and some of these guys exposing people that aren't natural. They got the same thing in the motocross community where they're like, he didn't look like that when he was 16. They're like, look at him now. He's 19 and look at his jawline. And they're like, I'm like, what?
Jawline?
I'm like, really?
Jawline?
I'm like, what the?
That's where we're going now.
I'm like, maybe he's just chewing some mastic gum. I don't know.
Damn.
Motherfucker.
But then this guy, we're working on getting him on the podcast because he was super knowledgeable about PEDs and stuff. But he was saying he was like, oh, a lot of coaches and a lot of people try to downplay the use of performance enhancing drugs in this sport because they're like, it's not going to really change your time. Yeah, it's going to make you a little bigger, a little stronger. And he's like, that's total bullshit. He's like, it will change your time by a lot. I guess if you're stronger and you can absorb, some of the shock of some of it. It's just like any other sport. There might be some guys that need it. There might be other guys that can perform better than the guys who use shit.
Yeah.
And,
And okay, mind you, motocross, because I was actually talking to Ryan Kura about this. What is it that Ryan Kura does BMX, not motocross?
Right.
Okay.
He might do a little bit of both, but I think he mainly did BMX.
Yeah, he does BMX. I can understand being a factor in BMX. Yeah. But motocross with a bike with I get it. Like, but I feel like you could just get to strength train with that, strength train.
Absolutely. I think that's the thing is I think that these guys they're just getting into strength training for the first time and they're somehow getting exposed, whether it's through like a coach or whatever, that this is like, there's a lot of money on the line, where there's money, there's always going to be some, people fucking around.
Drug use. Okay.
This is crazy. So in the 1900 Olympics, hot air ballooning was a
We got to bring that back.
yeah.
That was exciting. I remember that.
And then between
Hot air
1928 and 1948, there was town planning.
Town planning as an Olympic sport?
I think so.
That's got to be a joke.
What do you think we should do with the library on Main Street?
I don't know, but you got a gold medal.
What the fuck gets a gold? That's the thing. Like, that town is ugly, or that's a horrible layout.
They just didn't have shit to do, I guess, because in the 1900 there was a swimming
There ain't shit to do
obstacle
back then.
course. That sounds like fun.
That actually sounds interesting.
Tug of war. That's
That'd be a great show just to have all the dumb stuff that's never made it, you know?
I'm so curious about the history of the Olympics. Like when did they? How long has the Olympics been going on?
I think thousands of years, right?
Like
I don't know.
where we were competing against other countries and stuff like that. Like thousands of years? No,
I think some form of the Olympics has been going on for hundreds of years.
Yeah,
and
the
I
Greeks
think,
had shit like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think Olympics as we know it now, going against different countries is probably, hasn't been that long, probably.
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
But the
1896 first Summer Olympic Games.
wonder how many countries were a part of that.
But I think before that, I mean, we're talking going back a couple thousand years, I think. But I don't know.
Let's see. Winter Olympics says 1924. Fuck.
It's really interesting. Like, you think about it, like
That doesn't sound right.
you're some like you're just like moving rocks around, and then like you chuck one, and then I throw one.
A little bit.
And you're like,
further,
I can throw this one further. And you're like, well, that one doesn't weigh the same, and immediately it turns into like a thing. It's like, well, let's weigh it. We got to, or let's just throw the same rock, and you gotta, then Andrew gets involved, and then, and then it's like, no, you stepped over that line. You got to like start to make rules for it. Right. Gets to be really weird, really quick.
Yeah.
And then how do you end up in a bobsled? Right? How do you end up in like a spaceship that goes down a fucking mountain of ice?
You gotta, I wonder how the hell that sport came. Like a lot of these sports came to be, not just bobsled, but curling.
Yeah.
What? Who was just like,
Let's turn this beer game or this bar game into an Olympic sport.
Right.
Football is really weird. Like it's like kind of territorial, and there's like so many rules to it. You can kick it and throw it, but not when you're, if you're past this line, you can't do it. You can't throw it to those guys.
Funny. Yeah,
The big fat guys can't throw it to, but the skinny guys, you could throw it to them. It's like, who?
Wait, pause.
Who made some of these rules?
You can't throw a football to a lineman?
You can throw a football to a lineman if you have an extra down lineman who's at the end, who would be then eligible to be a receiver.
Whoa.
But then you have to announce that he's eligible.
Yes.
Hey, number 66 is eligible because he doesn't have a number that represents the skills players. The skills players have either like low numbers, like a running back would be in the 20s, maybe even just anything under 50, I think, is the running backs. And then the receivers are 80 and up, I think, pretty much.
Oh, this just got deep for me.
And then college, it's a little bit different, but you can't have like number 77 running out for a pass.
Wow, I didn't know it. I didn't know that. Wow, okay.
That's weird, right?
Yeah, that is very weird.
But you can occasionally, if you have the right setup and you have an extra guy at the end of the line, he would just be considered an extra tight end. And then he could be eligible for a pass, but you have to announce it to the ref. And then the ref says, hey, number 77 is eligible.
And then the other team then knows, and they can.
Yeah. So
And then the guy still scores a lot of times. Because it's like, I don't know, sometimes they just have like certain players that do that here and there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you get pushed out of bounds as a defender, if you don't make an attempt to get back in bounds right away, you are no longer able to be the first guy to touch
the
opposing team holding the ball.
There's a lot of weird rules, really weird things. Yeah, so you can't, and the reason for that is like you can't intentionally like leave the field.
Yeah,
because then you can leave the field and like run through the bench and then come back on the field and catch the ball. So all the rules are made up so people don't fucking cheat really bad,
Oh my god. That reminds me of JaVale McGee. I don't know if you guys know JaVale McGee.
Of course.
You remember that though?
I don't.
Okay, so like they were on their side of the court, and he like faked that he was injured and went out of bounds. And his defender left him, and then he's like came up for an alley-oop dunk because he like limped off. And his
for a couple of years there, JaVale McGee was a walking, talking meme. Like everything that guy would do would just be like, no, that's made up. Like nobody actually did that, but nah, JaVale McGee.
Wow, basketball is so simple compared to football.
Yeah,
you shoot a ball in the basket. You have 3-pointers,
circle.
2-pointers, free throws, and it's easy.
There's not
There's a few things, but it's not like
traveling,
double dribble.
Traveling doesn't really apply if you're LeBron James, though.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, traveling, double dribble. I'm trying to think if there's any like really. I guess there's like weird rules towards the end of the game if you fouled X amount of times.
And if you get fouls, then
you get kicked out of the game,
or 2 within the last 2 minutes.
Right.
Oh shit!
And and then people get to shoot a free throw.
Yep.
Even if they're not in the act of shooting, like that's when you start getting like.
Yeah, and then like other rules
it starts getting weird quick.
Yeah.
Other rules have been implemented to just try to help the game, but like defensive 3 seconds,
shot clock,
offensive 3 seconds.
It's still easy shit compared to just what I heard with football right now.
Court violation.
Football is wild. This has a lot of rules.
If you call a timeout while in the back court, you have to inbound the ball in the back, or if you call a timeout before you move the ball, you get to move it to the half court line.
Yeah.
All kinds of dumb shit like that.
Football stuff is really weird, like fumbling the ball. You can't like you can't like fumble it forward.
Yeah,
you can't fumble forward. What do you mean?
You kind of can, but you kind of can't. Like if it just happens to be that you like. Yeah, like but you can't like just like roll it forward and have someone else like scoop it up and stuff. It's weird.
Imagine like towards the end of the game and you need to score a touchdown and you start.
It'd be considered a forward pass if you did it that way. Yeah. So you have to like fumble it backwards or toss it backwards.
Flea flickers and laterals. That's another fun one too.
Wow.
John Madden wrote a book called 1 knee equals 2 feet.
Really?
What?
Yeah. Well, because so if you go to score a touchdown and you get 1 knee in the end zone, it's touchdown. Or even if just you're on the sidelines and you're only able to get 1 knee down, then that counts. But so 1 knee is the same equivalent as landing both feet inbounds.
Oh, okay.
So you could you could land a knee inbounds and the rest of your body can go out of bounds, and that would be a reception. but if 1 foot's out and 1 foot's on the line, 1 foot's in and 1 foot's out, then you're out of bounds. It's incomplete pass.
The touchdown rules are so insane.
The touchdown is really weird. Yeah, because you just got to break the plane, and the plane goes on forever. It's infinite. The goal line goes on forever.
Wait, what?
I know.
It's so
I know.
Dumb. Yeah. And then you have to be in,
because you don't have to actually like land into the end zone.
I thought you just need to just go past the line.
The ball just needs to go. Even if you just went whoop and you came back, you're in.
The ball breaks the plane.
The play's
so
dead.
You're good.
Oh.
But then if you
but does it have to touch the ground or like
no.
Oh, so that's why they
imaginary line there.
And you can jump and put the ball over the pylon and
But then if
the pylon, what is the pylon?
That's the orange thingy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but then like if you're a receiver and you catch the ball, you can't put 2 feet in the end zone and then throw the ball away. You have to catch it, receive it, and be like, "Yep, I have this." Yep, you definitely finished the act of catching the ball, so that's a touchdown.
You also can't. Wait.
Catch
Right? 2 feet in. Okay, you drop the ball. Just like you're good. Yep, I'm out. Nope, you have to actually finish the whole thing because there can't be any like argument against you being able to maintain possession of that ball. There's only been a couple of times where it's like, come on, iffy, but for the most part, they get that part right. But I just think it's funny that they have to include that rule in there.
Yeah,
it's pretty fucking wild.
Football's complicated.
You can only throw the ball forward twice. Once. So if you throw the ball forward and a defender like bats the ball back to you and you catch it, you can't throw it forward again.
Yeah.
You have to just like eat it.
What are those like, sometimes when you
lateral, backwards. You could throw it backwards infinitely if you wanted to.
Yeah. Now I want to go watch a YouTube place. I know there's some team that's probably on like
Here's an interesting thing. If you were to throw the ball, so if you throw the ball forward out of bounds, then the play's dead and the ball goes back to the original line of scrimmage. If you throw the ball backwards out of bounds, then it goes to wherever the ball
is at.
Yeah, wherever the ball is at. So when I was a kid, our freshman quarterback, he played in our on our varsity team. It was the first time he ever got in, and the coach said, "Hey, remember, just kill the ball. You know, like he tried to make it easy for him. It's like, just throw the ball to me if you're in trouble, meaning like throw the ball to the sidelines, because then it's incomplete pass. Nothing bad happened. You just lose it down. That's it."
Oh no.
So we're like on like the 30-yard line, and we're like, heading towards the end zone. He starts scrambling around. He's like looking for someone to throw to. He avoids a couple tackles. The coach is on like the 50-yard line. He guns it right to him. The coach catches it, and you should have seen the look on his face. He was like, "Motherfucker." So we lost like 25 yards in one play.
Man. And
That's got to be embarrassing, yo. It's like, okay.
I was on the field, and I was like, "Oh, might as well start running that way." That's where we're setting up for the next play. And I was like, "Shit."
On the kickoff, if the kicker kicks the ball out of bounds, and then it goes automatically up to, I think, the 45.
Yeah.
So it's like super embarrassing if the kicker can't keep the ball.
The kicking game gets really confusing.
Especially now, because didn't they change? Oh, they changed the distance on it. Never mind. Okay.
Did they make it longer or something? Because kickers are getting better.
Well, no, they actually did kind of the opposite. They moved the where you kick from up, so that there's less kickoff returns, because it's really dangerous for the players.
But on the field goal, they did the point after they moved.
They did move that back. Yeah, that's right.
And so you did start seeing a couple more misses.
It's more dangerous for the players? Like how? Because I mean, like
kickoff is just dangerous because you run full speed at each other from like 50 yards apart.
Oh yeah.
Athletes at full clip running into each other.
Dang. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's
I used to love that. Was the best part of football right there.
I bet you love that.
Oh my god.
Probably bigger than everybody.
Wedge breaker. Yeah, just go down there and just slam into everybody. You don't have to think about anything. You just run full speed and
just wait for him to catch the ball.
After I did it a couple times, like when we play other teams, I think other teams would just have tape, and they would just scout, and they'd be like, "That guy's a maniac. Just get the fuck out of his way," because they would just always part open, and I'm like, "Oh, I got no one to hit."
That makes sense. You had a reputation, wedge breaker.
Yep.
That's sick.
Want to take us on out of here, Andrew?
I will. DrinkLMNT.com/power project.
Watermelon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys know if that one's out yet?
It's out.
It's out
now. They sent me the watermelon flavor.
It's really good.
It's really good.
They sent ice cubes with it, too.
Oh, yeah. To make watermelon ice cubes.
Wow.
Tray.
Yeah.
Always doing something fancy. So head over to drinklmnt.com/power project. Pick up the watermelon flavor. I haven't even had a chance to try it, so I feel left out. But yeah.
I think I have some in my car.
You won't?
Yeah, I think I have one in my car.
Heck yeah.
Give it to you.
Head over there right now, pick up a value bundle, and go ahead and mix in that new watermelon flavor. Please make sure you follow the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project on Instagram, at MB Power Project on TikTok and Twitter. My Instagram is at I am Andrew Z. And Nsima, where are you at?
Nsima Inyang on Instagram, YouTube, Clubhouse. No, TikTok.
Thanks for wearing these short shorts today, bro.
Oh yeah, step a little bit. There you go.
I mean, they're not that short.
Now I can't see you though. You disappeared. Step a little bit to your right. Right there. Yep.
This is what I'm going to be rocking all
People don't understand. People don't understand what Andrew and I have to go through every day.
Yeah.
Being next to someone.
Are you getting this on camera?
Being
next to someone so handsome.
A little bit. Yeah. Not the arm though.
No, I was getting the leg, man.
Look at those hamstrings. Wow.
Yeah, man.
You must work out.
These shorts are comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Comfortable. Bring short shorts. Short shorts are back, but I want to get some pink ones.
I think you just brought them back.
Some yellow ones.
Are you gonna get the 3-inchers?
All these bright colors. It's gonna be great.
Hey now.
3-inch inseams.
3 inches?
Yeah, that's the super runner thin ones.
These are 5 inches.
Don't do that. Don't go. Don't go. Yeah.
No,
no. You just be like, yeah.
3-inch inseamers. Nsimas.
Pro tip for all of you guys who
pro
tip. Yes. For all you guys who have Lululemon shorts, they will hem your shorts for free. So I'm gonna go get all of my longer Lulu shorts hemmed to like a cool 5 inches.
Whoa.
You're about to be seeing all this leg action.
That would be amazing to have. So they do it in the store?
They do it in the store.
So it'd be great to have them hem them, right? And then be like, I think I want them shorter. And do it again and again and again. Just come out in a Speedo eventually. Yeah. You're like, yeah, I'm digging this. This is perfect.
Good. This is good.
Make all of them like this. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later.